All right, big fella, what you got?
Well, I had a particular situation happen to me last night that left me speechless.
Mm.
And that doesn't happen to me very often at all. I came in first person personal contact with a 150,000% rule follower.
To the T, huh?
I'm talking like, holy moly. And
Not the 811 company?
this guy was wearing the zebra stripes.
Oh, little basketball official, huh?
Yeah, he was wearing the zebra stripes and was very critical. I'm not a referee. I'm not an umpire. I'm not an official of any kind.
Uh-huh.
I am just simply a fan, a father, and a bookkeeper.
Yep.
Or a time clock operator, which I suck at miserably because my ADD kind of takes over.
Yeah, time clock's probably not your
And
forte.
I got that remote in my hand where I'm trying to, like, on the inbound. So when the referee's hand drops, like when they put the ball in play and the hand drops, that's when you click the button.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm really enthralled with the play and I'll forget to click it. And then you'll hear some people up in the clock, screaming at me. Holy shit, fuck, hit the button, whatever. Last night, we had a gentleman come in to referee. And without beating around the bush, he was just not having it. He was not putting up with any bullshit. It was his world, and you were just living in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's
the general.
referee.
He's the general, And I just the thing that it kind of prompted me to think about in your guys' either profession or lives or day-to-day travels. Do you know any like just hardcore rule followers? Mm-hmm. Like people that are just super critical, that they're kind of uptight. They don't really relax much. They just absolutely cannot fathom steering from the path. You know what I mean? Like, just it's got to be by the book or we're not doing it at all. Like, do you know anybody like that?
I don't know. Sure, I do.
Yeah.
I'm like that with some things, but not all things.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like that about some things, but not all things.
Situationally, you need to be that way.
Yeah.
Like there's some things like, yeah.
But sixth grade basketball is not one that I would think you would need to be that way.
Not at the top of the list, no.
No, like not at all.
No.
So much so that we've got a young gal that plays on the squad that has some freshly pierced ears.
Yeah.
Take them out.
Yeah, well, you don't have to. You can put tape over them,
yeah.
or Band-Aids, right? Well, this guy goes, technically, in the book, it says that it's up to me whether or not I let her play or not because she puts me at a liability. If she gets hurt, it's my fault. And then I probably overstepped my bounds. I probably outkicked my coverage a little bit.
Yeah.
I probably didn't stay in my lane. But I said, well, this is the fifth game they've played, and you're the first person that's ever said anything about it. And a fellow redheaded feller that was keeping the scoreboard with me, he said, well, yeah, the other guys that ref usually have about 500 years in between them reffing. And, yeah, they never said nothing either, Well, I mean, it's okay, guys. I mean, it's fine. Since we're already midway through the second quarter and I'm just now catching it, I'm not going to say nothing, But had I seen this at the beginning of the game, I would have had to address it.
Obviously, he's not a very good official if that's...
Well, and there again...
What kind of miserable life do you got to have have to swing your cock around?
You have smelled what I'm stepping in, brother, man. You have got it. You have hit the nail. You have found it. You have struck oil. Super Troopers is a real thing, and I can't stand them. I can't stand them. How miserable must it be that a man that gets just a little bit of par, you know what I mean? Like, I bet you that mother
grade girl.
I bet you that son of a bitch could barely fit through the door. His head was so big when he got done. I mean, he gave a 6th grade girls basketball coach a technical foul for questioning a travel call. And me and the guy keeping the clock were like, I mean, she traveled. She took 4 steps. That wasn't a Euro. She walked. That was a travel if I've ever seen one. And the poor guy was getting beat like a drum. Like our girls, we played exceptionally well. And that squad, they had a few things to work on. They didn't have much talent. I mean, in their defense, you know what I mean? Maybe one girl out of the 5 that could handle the ball. You know, we're talking taking shots from about 20 foot and hitting about 6 foot over on the backboard, you know, barely clipping the corner, like not even remotely close to the rim, you know, like just little barnyard action, you know. Yeah. And the guy was frustrated. I felt for him. Young kid, you know, no kids on the team, probably no skin in the game at all, just decided to help out the program and coach. And this guy, in my opinion, and if he listens to the show, man, I'm sorry, but you were being a douche. And it just made me uncomfortable. And it really took everything I had to sit there and just listen to this unfold, because I was like, man, you're a tool. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking for you to name drop or anything, but I mean, do you know anybody like that? Like just, I've like a hardcore, Mr. Smithers type, you know,
like in the officiating world, or
no, I mean, just in general, like, do you know somebody that's just like, they get just a shade of power, or they get they just think they know everything and they just take it to the extreme?
None that I know, because I'm a big believer in be around the people you want to be around.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I don't.
Amen.
And I've never really, in all my years of coaching, like umpire wise, I think with my personality, and I'm a firm, I know, like where I'm at in the pecking order of coaching. Like, I'm coaching middle school baseball, and the last thing I'm going to do is mother truck an umpire about something.
Player development too.
Yeah, player development. That's true.
Don't sell yourself short.
But like in my personality on a lot of things, I've made some coaching mistakes where I've just let it fly, where I just yell, and it's not beneficial for anybody.
You ever been tossed?
No, I've never been.
I have.
The only technical there was one year, our buddy Teddy Hoops, he was the varsity coach, and I was coaching that group that was Colson, Ethan Bell, Cam Gatt. Like, we were a good basketball team. And we had it was a morning, I don't know if it was a morning game, but I think we were playing Perry Central or Tell City. And Colson, as a basketball player, like, I think he probably was pretty close to dunking in 8th grade. And if he listens to the show, he may say I could. But he had a close call where he was almost undercut by a guy going up for a layup on a fast break, and they didn't call it. And I told those guys, and I know the 2 officials, and one of them lives right here in Holland, Indiana. I said, he's going to get hurt because they're going to undercut him, and I'm going to lose my mind. Like, you missed one, like, it's going to happen. And so it happened again, and they called the foul, but I lost my mind, and I was out past half court where I met the referee coming to make the call, because I was pissed, because I told the official, I said, this is what's going to happen. And I said, you let it happen because you didn't take control of it the first time. I didn't curse at him. I didn't do anything like that, but I got heated because it was a player safety issue. And I just let it go, and he teed me up. And I looked back, and because I was like, I couldn't believe he teed me up, but then also, like, I feel like I didn't get my money's worth. And the one official coming back that didn't make the call was a classmate of mine, good friend. And I won't name drop him, but I said, hey, I was like, I told you guys this was going to happen. It happened, and you don't expect me to react like that when it's player safety because he's laying on the ground hurt now, and all you guys can do is just call foul when it was a dirty play. They're getting beat by – I mean, it was going to turn into a bloodbath. Like I was very conscious about you're going to come out because we're going to play other kids. We're up 20, 25. It wasn't quite there yet, and I just – and part – like I just – and – he's like, well, I mean, I know, I can see where you're upset. And he goes, I hate to tell you this, but you got to sit down now because that's the rule in IHSA. You get a technical, your ass is on the bench. Like you can get up to call timeouts, but you can't get up to coach. And I never sat down. I always walked the sideline. Like it just, part of it was I didn't want to sit for 2 hours. And so I would just, a lot of times I'd stand at the end of the bench and just move back and forth. And it was the worst time ever. And I think that was in the first half because when we were in the halftime, I was still chirping. And because one of the guys, because if you knew Colson's grandpa out there, I'm trying to think his name.
Passed away, Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl Powell.
Oh, he'd motherfucker an official from Tuesday on. And so, and he said, I'll go down there and coach. You get you another one, coach. Get you another. And but I mean, by second half, we'd pulled away like it wasn't even close. But it didn't take long. We got done, talked in the locker room, and I got a text from Teddy Hoops. And he's like, hey, heard you got a T. I was like, yeah. So I was the only coach that year. And Teddy's a fiery coach. Have you ever seen Teddy on the sidelines?
Oh, yeah.
But it was funny because that year I was the only coach of all boys Southridge Raider basketball to get a technical. And it was on like a Saturday morning against Tell City. But that's the only time. But so like in baseball, a lot of those kids don't have like the cognizant ability. Like I'm gonna buzz the tower and throw one at a kid's head. You know, we get some mouthy kids that start chirping and that fires me up because I hate that shit. But nothing. I mean, the closest I ever had, I think I've told the story before, but Du Bois where, you know, catcher picks one out of the dirt and calls it a strike. And I was like, I don't think that's a strike. He goes, what did I call it a strike? I was like, yeah. And I was like, it's no use talking to him. So I don't chirp it. I don't do it because I think it sets a bad example for players. And then parents think they can get away with it. And so if I'm not losing my mother, and I have a lot of conversation in between innings. Like that's the secret to good coaching. You don't have to there's certain situations where you got to make the big scene, but there's also a lot of times where you can get further along when you walk up to that official and you say, hey, listen, I know you called what you called, but this is how I saw it. This is what they're doing. And sometimes they're not going to listen to you. And then it kind of escalates because then if it does happen, you lose your mind. But I've always found that to be my strategy.
Well, in this particular situation, this guy wasn't being arrogant. This guy wasn't doing anything. He was just simply
calling a game.
You
know, for some of those officials, they talk to other guys that officiate and they tell them like they have to take control of like the game and do that part so it doesn't get out of hand. But like that year I did a ton of 5th grade boys and girls basketball games here at Holland. Like there's some things you just let slide because it ain't worth the fight.
Yeah, and I think in particular, like at the 6th grade level, 7th grade level, you know, stuff like that, you need to be critical of some things, but other things you're just like, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
whatever.
I get it.
I don't know. I just
bothered you.
Real sticklers.
Yeah.